Alright guys, we are back today with the 50 BMG on a budget, and this review has been much requested on the channel. Every time I pull out my Safety Harbor Firearms 50 BMG, I get a ton of questions about it. And I've been wanting to do a full review on this rifle for a while, but I've been waiting to actually run a lot of rounds through it. With other guns on the channel, it's very easy to dump 200 to 300 rounds, give you an initial impression, and then give you an update after 500 to 1,000 rounds. But with the 50 BMG and ammo being so pricey, it's really hard to dump that many rounds to it. So I wanted to wait till I got 60 rounds through this 50 BMG, and I've hit that mark, so I can give you my initial impressions and basic review of this rifle. So a little bit of backstory on this rifle. A lot of you guys were requesting in my bulletproof barrier videos and homemade body armor videos that I test them by shooting them with the 50 BMG. And at the time, money was tight and it was hard to find one that was affordable. So I did some research and I actually reached out to Safety Harbor Firearms and requested a 50 BMG to try out and shoot in some videos. And these guys were nice enough to send one over to the channel to really put it through its paces. I told them I was going to be shooting a lot of junk with this thing and doing a lot of interesting things, and they were like, go for it. Try it out, put it through its paces. So now I can confidently bring you guys this review. Now you say 60 rounds, that's not a lot, but if you've shot a Bolt 50 BMG, you know 60 rounds is a pretty penny. At about $3 to $5 a shot, it adds up quick. Also, after a few shots with the 50, it's not one you just plink all day and dump rounds through. Especially being a bolt gun, this forces you to slow down and enjoy the experience of blasting something with the 50 cal. Let's start off with an overview of Safety Harbor Firearms. They're commonly known for their 50 BMG conversion uppers for the AR-15 platform, and that's what this upper is designed for, to drop directly onto a mil-spec AR-15 lower. The only difference is you need a special hammer that comes with the upper. You can find these uppers on their website, I believe sub $1,600, so a very reasonably priced for the 50 BMG market conversion upper. Now they make the single shot and mag-fed versions of these uppers, but what we're looking at today is the complete rifle they offer. And I opted for this since it's a complete package. I wanted to have a dedicated 50 BMG lower for this rifle. Now they work fine with standard mil-spec AR lowers, but I just like the fact that this does not have an extended mag well and that it was specifically designed by Safety Harbor Firearms to make this a complete rifle package. Sitting on top is this Redfield optic. It's a 3:9 scope, and some ask why I didn't go with a larger power scope, and in reality, what I shoot with this thing, I don't shoot past 100 yards. I'm sure this rifle is amazingly capable past that distance, but for what I do, body armor testing, blasting stuff for the channel, this 3:9 optic does perfect. Also, Redfield is now made by Leopold, so it's a good quality. This came from Optics Planet, and when I reached out to these guys to find an optic that could withstand a 50 BMG at a reasonable price point, this Redfield kept popping up, right around the $200 price point. So I'll add a link in the description below for a robust optic that's so far survived and held zero for 60 rounds of 50 BMG. Let's start from the back and work our way to the front of the rifle, just about how it functions and feels. This is the solid metal stock that comes with the lower when you buy the 50 BMG complete rifle, and you can order those on the website. The price of a single shot 50 BMG complete rifle is $18.50. Then you can select some upgrades to really enhance its capabilities. This one has the mono stock, which pretty much just has a huge bolt with a tensioner and a kind of a textured plate at the bottom to fix it solid. I find this very helpful when I'm setting up shots for the channel or long distance shooting, because you can adjust that monostock perfectly and not worry about holding up the rifle while you're firing that large 50 BMG round. It has this nice rubber pad to absorb the recoil, which we'll talk about in a minute. So overall, a nice, very robust, solid steel stock that's not gonna crack, break, or walk loose. This thing is just solid. I believe the monopod is a slight upgrade on their website. You can choose that in the drop-down menu. Moving on to the center of the rifle. It comes with a standard pistol grip, which you can swap out, and I will be in the future, for any AR grip. So that's a nice feature. Since this is based off a mil-spec lower, you can use a lot of mil-spec lower parts. The only thing really proprietary is the hammer, and I believe kind of the way that is larger to set off those 50 BMG primers. So when you're working with the trigger, I kind of keep with this stock trigger. And let's take a look at that real quick. So the rifle is clear. Let's drop that bolt and take a look at the trigger. So right off the bat, it has 0 take up and a super crisp break. That is really awesome out of this trigger. I was pleasantly surprised because I was a little bit worried that at this budget price point, you wouldn't get a quality trigger. It may feel like a mil-spec trigger, but this is approaching a match grade trigger standard. It's definitely crisp and reasonably light considering that huge hammer. The bolt itself is reasonably easy to actuate. It's very smooth while riding in the channel. Now, some of the problems that you'll have with the 50 BMG bolt gun is when you shoot an overpressurized round. I've shot exclusively federal ammo, and that is probably some of the junkiest 50 BMG that you can put in a bolt gun. But this gun just runs it. Now, sometimes when you run overpressurized rounds, you can get rounds kind of stuck in the chamber where you lift it up and it would be stuck and you kind of have to tap on it with your fist to kind of knock it out. Now for me, if you use less pressurized rounds like the PMC or even match grade ammo, that's not a problem. But I've seen this on a lot of videos on Bolt 50 BMGs with people using federal. So again, I've exclusively shot federal ammo out of this rifle and it works fine. And I've had a few casings that kind of get wedged in there and you just tap out with your hand. Not a big deal, but something to note, especially if you're gonna buy the mag-fed version and you wanna rack through rounds, you're gonna have to buy some standard pressure ammo and not that mil-serp federal ammo. The bolt itself disassembles very easily. All you'll have to do is unthread this piece, kind of disassemble it like a standard AR-15 by popping out these 2 pins, and the bolt head and bolt will come out for easy cleaning. Not a challenge at all. Everything on this rifle, the build quality seems really good, and I don't baby it as you can see in my videos. This thing gets exposed to moisture. It was in the rain the other day when we were destroying the fidget spinner video, so it doesn't show any signs of surface rust even being in the rain. Also, with just a little bit of oil, it still runs smooth, even being covered, what you can see with debris and dirt. It kind of gets in here as I'm shooting this down at the range, but it still operates fairly smoothly. I selected the long monolithic rail. I believe they're calling it the X-Acto rail option for my rifle. You can buy low, medium, and high standard rails, which stop right here at the handguard, or you can choose this monolithic rail. I really like that because you can set your optic wherever you feel like. It came in handy when I was running the EOTech and I shifted a little bit forward, or if you want to adjust the optic for your eye relief. So it allows you to mount anything anywhere. The rail itself is bolted on with about 9 or 10 bolts and they are not going anywhere. This thing locks up solid. The Redfield and these UTG mounts actually locked up solid as well. The barrel on this guy is a beast. This rifle is heavy and this brake is insane. Look at the size of my fist compared to this brake. Now this is where I want to talk about the recoil. You would think a 50 BMG would have this insane recoil, but with this huge brake and the weight of the rifle, it actually isn't that bad. The concussion though is insane. The way this brake is cut, it really directs the blast left, right, and back at the shooter. It reduces the recoil to be very manageable. I can shoot this thing laying down or standing, and it's very easy to fire. But that blast just throws all of that stuff left and right. I actually had a buddy of mine shoot this while I stood by and filmed one time, and it just blew me away, literally and figuratively, about the blast coming out of the side of this rifle. So that brake does an amazing job of reducing the recoil. Somebody who's scared of recoil, this kicks a little bit worse, I don't know, than a 12 gauge, but it's actually not that bad. With the brake, the weight, and that recoil absorbing pad, you can definitely run a few rounds through this thing without getting beat up too bad. So they make the uppers in the rifles in 18-inch barrels, 22-inch barrels, and 29-inch barrels, and I'm shooting the 22-inch barrel. I believe the heaviest 29-inch barrel clocks in at about 20 pounds for the complete rifle, and I think this one weighs in at about 18.5 pounds with the features I've selected. The bipod that I have on this rifle is a Safety Harbor Firearms bipod, and if you're gonna drop one on here, I would kind of recommend you go with one of theirs. Now, I say that only because that bipod, this one has taken a beating, and I love it. It works really well, and it has the slides on the feet. So if you put those rubber feeted bipods, this is gonna recoil, and it's really gonna wanna stick those rubber feet to the ground. You might torque or break it. This is actually designed to slide with the recoil so you don't damage anything. It works really well, and it's robust. It also has a quick detach pin that you can pull out the back right here to drop it if you feel like it. But if you feel like adding your own bipod, that's perfectly fine. You have a Picatinny rail attachment on the bottom to just slap one of those on. So again, a very nice feature. So I can confidently recommend this rifle. Is it the most refined 50 BMG on the market? Probably not. Is it the most precise 50 BMG on the market? Probably not. With that junk federal ammo, which I would never do an accuracy test on something else with, I was shooting about 2 inches at 100 yards. So what you're really getting is a reliable, solid, robust 50 BMG for sub $2,000. I'm using those high pressure federal rounds, and they work fine. So this rifle is a blast to shoot. You can have some fun at the range. I'll try to update you guys in the future if I buy some precision ammo and shoot for groups to really see its accuracy potential. I don't want to give an accuracy report specifically on this rifle because I haven't bought match ammo yet. I'm still getting around to doing that. Once I do, I'll make an update video, as well as an update video on how this thing is holding up over time. And throughout this process, I've been shooting all the ammo, and most of it was donated by American Pawn and Gun. So I want to give a huge shout out to these guys for all the support on my channel. Without their ammo donations, it would be really hard to just run the rounds through it like you guys deserve. You don't want to see a review of this rifle after 10 rounds. You want to see a review of this rifle after it's shot some serious ammo. And even though 60 rounds is not a ton of ammo, it gives you enough to get an accurate feel of this rifle. So a big thanks to American Pawn and Gun. They're going to continue to help me out on these videos, so I'll update you guys on the progress in the future. So I hope this gives you another option in the world of AR-15. It's wild to see a 50 BMG conversion upper. And I hope this gives you another option if you're looking at buying a 50 BMG rifle. This seems to be one of the most reasonably priced 50 BMGs on the market, and in my case, this thing has worked amazing. So I hope you guys liked the video, and if you have, please check out my other ones and subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching. Have a good one.